Supercar first aired on British television in January 1961.
I'll give you a rundown on the situation.
Set in the present day, the show followed the adventures of a revolutionary new vehicle that could travel on land, underwater, through the air, and even into space.
We call it Supercar.
The professor here took 5 years to build that.
From their desert laboratory at Black Rock, Nevada, the Supercar team, consisting of test pilot Mike Mercury and scientists Professor Popkiss and Dr. Beaker, worked to improve and develop this remarkable machine.
What better way to test out the supercar than by rescuing those kids from the sea?
In the first episode of the series, Supercar comes to the rescue of pilot Bill Gibson, his younger brother Jimmy, and pet monkey Mitch after their plane crashes at sea. Bill then repays this kind act by apparently handing all responsibility for Jimmy and Mitch over to the Supercar team and promptly scarpering.
There goes a charming guy.
Over the course of 39 episodes, Supercar would be put through her paces on everything from missions of mercy to assisting in various experiments and secret projects, and even helping the authorities apprehend all manner of dastardly villains.
Master Spy, what are you doing here?
Among the worst of these villains are the Supercar team's archenemy Master Spy and his sidekick Zarin, who are always looking to make an easy profit or to capture Supercar for themselves.
Master Spy, do not do that.
Following the completion of production on Four Feather Falls, the AP Films team had very little work on the horizon, beyond producing 4 commercials and a travel film featuring Nicholas Parsons.
Hello.
Fortunately, the company was saved from disaster thanks to the arrangement of a meeting with ITC head Lou Grade, at which Anderson pitched the idea for Supercar. After some tense negotiation, Grade finally gave Anderson a commission for 26 25-minute episodes.
You are about to see the latest epic from Supercar Studios in Black Rock.
This first meeting marked the beginning of an association between Anderson and Grade that would last right up until the end of production on Space 1999 in December 1976. And it all started with Supercar.
Action!
The Supercar concept was actually an amalgamation of 2 ideas, one from Gerry Anderson and one from Four Feather Falls writer Hugh Woodhouse. Anderson's idea included the central vehicle of Supercar, her brave test pilot, and his kid sidekick, while Woodhouse's focused on the adventures of eccentric scientist Dr. Beaker, using his considerable intellect to thwart various criminal schemes.
Satisfactory. Most satisfactory.
With these 2 concepts combined, the new series would in theory appeal to the whole family. Children would be drawn to the exciting adventures of Mike Mercury and Supercar, and adults could appreciate Dr. Beaker's bumbling approach to fighting crime. The skill with which these 2 ideas were intertwined can perhaps be best seen in the hugely entertaining relationship between Mike Mercury and Beaker, with the heroic Mike soon developing a weary acceptance of the fact that Beaker usually finds trouble wherever he goes.
You mean they collect heads? Human heads?
Only for ornament.
The voice cast for Supercar would be a mix of newcomers to the Anderson fold and some who had worked for him previously. David Graham, the only member of the Four Feather Falls cast who would return for Supercar, voiced Dr. Beaker.
Perhaps we can have a little service around here.
Master Spy's snivelling sidekick Zarin. Bill Gibson.
Be prepared, that's my motto.
And Mitch the monkey.
Oh, come now. Oh, you're just saying that.
For which he spent a day studying the primates at London Zoo.
You just stand there, keep very quiet, and you might not get hurt.
George Marcel, who had played the villain Diamond in Anderson's recent B-movie Crossroads to Crime, would provide the voices of Professor Popkiss.
Sounds a good idea.
And the sinister Master Spy.
Well, friend Zarin, and what do you think of that?
Oh, hey, I almost forgot to give you this.
Mike Mercury himself would be voiced by Canadian actor Graydon Gould, whose performance perfectly captured the character's combination of square-jawed heroism
Here I go.
and wry bemusement at the antics of Dr. Beaker.
The things I do for you, Doc.
The final member of the Supercar cast was to be dialogue director Sylvia Tam as the voice of Jimmy Gibson.
I don't know that I like the sound of all this.
Although uncredited for her performance on the first season, her name would only become more prominent from this point on following her marriage to Gerry early in the show's production. Sylvia Anderson would also voice all the show's female guest characters, including Dr. Beaker's occasionally seen cousin, Felicity, who was essentially Dr. Beaker in drag.
Coffee time!
Other recurring characters in the first season included Harper, a disgruntled office worker turned criminal,
Never got anywhere. No initiative, they said.
and his partner Ben Judd,
I'm a skilled hand at the muffled explosion.
a Cockney safecracker who bore a strong resemblance to a later and much more famous Supermarionation character.
Yeah, well, they're welcome to it.
Supercar itself was the first in a long line of star vehicles for Anderson's Supermarionation heroes, and was created in direct response to his belief that the puppets never looked especially convincing while walking.
My feet!
However, putting them at the controls of a snazzy machine not only solved that problem, but also added a new element of excitement to the programs.
Ready to take off?
And Supercar also introduced another very familiar feature of future Anderson productions, the launch sequence.
Full boost vertical.
A second season of 13 more episodes soon entered production, but with some noticeable changes.
Have you nothing to say about that?
George Mersel was unable to return for the new episodes, so instead, Cyril Shaps would step in to voice Professor Popkiss
My goodness, I'm so excited. I can't wait for the show to begin.
and Master Spy.
Thank you very much.
Also not returning for the second season were Martin and Hugh Woodhouse, who had written most of the scripts for the first season. However, their departure was not by choice, as the Andersons decided to write all the second season scripts themselves without even consulting the Woodhouse brothers.
Curious. Most curious.
Although still highly entertaining children's television, the scripts written by the Andersons for the second season of Supercar were more firmly pitched at a young audience than those of the first, and incorporated increasingly outlandish elements. These included mad scientists with shrinking potions,
This situation is gonna take some getting out of.
drum-playing apes talking to each other in beatnik-style slang, and even aliens from a distant planet who can enter the dreams of sleeping human beings whenever they feel like it.
Yes, it is magic.
Two new and rather unnecessary additions to the cast came in the form of runaway French orphan Zizi
Pretty cute, too.
and Professor Popkiss's sister, Aunt Heidi, who appeared to be a walking advertisement for the dangers of drug abuse. However, Supercar's second season did bring one contribution to the Gerry Anderson universe that would soon become legendary, as the words "filmed in Supermarionation" made their debut on the show's end credits.
Nice work.
Supercar was a ratings smash and a merchandising success, but following completion of its 39 episodes, the future of the series was unclear.
It's getting late, Mike. Surely it's time they called in.
Over the next few months, even as pre-production on Fireball XL5 was getting underway, rumours continued to persist that Supercar would be continuing, perhaps under a new title.
Poppycock! I beg your pardon. I said poppycock!
Sadly, Mike Mercury and the Supercar team would not be returning for any more adventures, although some elements from the series did find their way into later productions.
What?
Barry Gray's incidental music for Supercar would be heard in Anderson shows right up until the first season of Space 1999, nearly 15 years later.
There's no getting away with this one.
Supercar's canopy would be fitted to the submarine Hepcat for the Stingray episode Raptures of the Deep, while the Black Rock Laboratory itself made a final and rather poignant appearance at the start of every single episode of Thunderbirds.
Now who's a fool?
While it may appear somewhat primitive compared to those later productions, Supercar laid the groundwork for the string of successful Supermarionation series that followed over the next few years.
Good show.
Having refined their puppetry technique to a reasonably impressive standard during Four Feather Falls, the AP Films team now began to incorporate model effects to further support their storytelling. and they weren't afraid to tackle ambitious ideas that stretched their skills still further. Over the course of its 39 episodes, Supercar introduced to the Anderson universe such crucial ideas as placing aquariums in front of models to create the illusion of being underwater, exciting high-tech vehicles and locations, and even those all-important explosions. As a series in its own right, however, Supercar can still stand tall and proud alongside the shows that came after it.
Absolutely lunatic. But, rather fun.
The series excelled in the quality of its characters and the quality of its writing, which understood the importance of treating young minds with the respect they deserve.
Boy, what a team! You and Supercar!
Back in 1961, Supercar really was the marvel of the age, and its very best episodes were never anything less than
Most satisfactory. Man.